Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakareshu Sarvada Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurur Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sarva Mangala Mangalle Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharanitrambike Gauri Narayani Namostute Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Mahalakshmi Rupena Samsthita Namastasya 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 Namo Namaha Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Gunatito Aksharam Brahma Bhagavan Purushotamaha Jano Janandidam Satyam Muchyate Bhava Bandhanat Om Shri Swami Narayana Namaha Om Shri Lakshmi Narayana Namaha Om Shri Nar Narayana Namaha Om Shri Krishna Narayana Namaha Om Shri Rama Narayana Namaha Om Shri Shiva Narayana Namaha Om Shri Badri Narayana Namaha Om Shri Satya Narayana Namo Namaha Om Namah Shivaya 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 Om Shri Hanumate Namaha. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 21st of January 2023. Before we begin, I'd like to offer my prostrations to all the great sages who are present today, in the past, and in the future, and to the one and singular Supreme Paramatma residing everywhere and in the heart of all beings. With that prarthana, we are continuing our exploration of Vivek Chudamani, and along those lines, we are trying to understand what is Maya Karyam. This one word, Maya Karya Rohitam, that Shankaracharya ji is using. What is Maya? What is Maya Karya as per Vedanta? So along those lines, we have been examining avastha trayas, Jagrit avastha, Swapna avastha, Shushupti avastha. These are our experiences in life. The Swapna avastha is what we are examining further today. The Swapna avastha is very mysterious. It is experiential. It is real for us when we're in it. There is a dream world generated by the mind, by the brain. Interestingly enough, the power behind that generation is within our system, within our psychological, neurological framework. But the generator of the dream world, as per Vachanamrut, that is the Parabrahma Paramatma residing inside the Atma, who is generating the dream world for the Jivatma due to the karmas, vasanas, impressions, and desires of the Jivatma. So that's very interesting in itself that, who is the dream maker? It's a very interesting question. The dreams that we do experience, but who or what is the cause of the dreams? Who is the dream maker? Who is the dreamer? The dreamer is the Jivatma. The dream maker is the Paramatma within the Jivatma. And the dream experience itself is the drashya, is part of the experience. It's what's showing up like on a movie screen. It's like that. It's a most fascinating thing. Also, dreams are a doorway into the higher consciousness also. It is possible. In fact, when the dreams begin to settle down and the dreams are purified, they are very clear, they're very steady, there's no more agitation, only divine dreams come. Divya Anubhav comes. That's an indication of significant adhyatmic pragati, spiritual progress. From my perspective, that is the one and singular direct way to detect how far you are spiritually, is what's going on at nighttime. If most of the dreams disappear and there's yogic nidra, there's a silence, that's a very great state. Wonderful. And then beyond that even is if there are divine dreams, that Paramatma appears, your Ishtadevata appears, different gurus appear, different kinds of yagna and home and havan and spiritual beings appear. That is much further up. But even beyond that is the realization of the Atma. You see, so this is the progression. When we consider where are we spiritually, where are we, how do we know? Just examine your dreams. That's all. That's a direct 100% way of knowing exactly where you are. And also in the waking state, the disturbances that occur in the waking state while we're awake, That is another most important thing. That's very easy to detect. Yeah, I'll give you an example here. Just with regards to emotions, I'm going to show you a little slide here. Just with regards to emotions, the emotions that are in the color red over here, these are the strong negative emotions. I hope you can see this. The ones that are in the yellow color are the more like middle level emotions, and then the ones in white are the, most of them, some of them are not exactly written there correctly, but again, there is a whole range of emotions. You can see this. You can see the difference between something like acceptance and anger. Angst is anxiety. Anxiety and anguish is very different from courage and curiosity. This diagram here, we can see that throughout the day, we may experience maybe 70% of these or 60% of these. It just varies. And this is all chaos in the waking state. Acceptance, affection, amusement, anger, angst, anguish, annoyance, anticipation, anxiety, disappointment, disgust, envy, euphoria, faith, hope, horror, hostility, humiliation, nostalgia, regret, rejection, self-pity, suffering, wonder, worry, shyness, social connection, resentment, pity, pleasure, kindness. It just goes on. It's a chaos. It's a jungle inside. The Sanatana Dharma is aiming to stabilize this realm of emotion. And emotion is a much more direct way to detect our spiritual level more than anything else. Even more than our thinking. Thinking is there. If we say we have a certain negative thought, but there's an emotion with that. That negative thought is not negative without the emotion. It's possible perhaps to have certain kind of thinking without any emotion, maybe, but that's very unlikely. Very, very unlikely. So the point is that emotional flow, emotional regulation has everything to do with what happens in the dream state. What we are doing in the waking state, what is our activity in the waking life, which is so chaotic, which is chaotic in the sense it is moving, is jumping from one to the other. It is not a steady state. Steady emotion, which in my mind, I'd like to call that divine emotion, divya bhava. That is really the goal in the waking state. जागृत अवस्था में ध्येय क्या है? दिव्य भाव, दिव्य बुद्धि, दिव्य भाव. Divya bhav, not manushya bhav. What is the difference between manushya bhav and divya bhav? Manushya bhav is what we just saw on the screen, all that mixture of all those mixed emotions. This is the human condition, all mixed up like this. And what does it do to energy? It fragments it, tears it apart, destroys it, etc. Okay, we understood that. So how to stabilize, how to move through this? This is the task. This is the whole point of satsanga. Satsang is sang, it's contact with that which is true, that which is eternally true. And that is the real and perhaps the only actual permanent solution to the chaos of emotional life. Satsang there's 5 ways to understand satsang. The word satsang. Sat means Parabrahma Paramatma. The Sang of Parabrahma Paramatma, Bhagwan Ishtadevata. That is Sang of that Paramatma. This is meaning number 1. That is done through Navada Bhakti, through devotional connection, as we have been examining. That is Paramatma ka Sang, Paramatma no Sang in Gujarati we say. Then Atma no Sang, this is what we're doing here in most of the time in this daily satsang, trying to understand Vivek Chudamani, trying to unravel what is the Atma Tattva based on Shri Shankaracharya Ji's teachings. That is Atma ka Sang. See, the mind is what can have Sang of Paramatma and of the Atma. Then the third is Sat Shastra ka Sang. This great scriptures, the Sangha of those great scriptures. The Sat Shastra, what is a Sat Shastra? It is a revelation spoken from the higher dimension for the people of the world. These are called Sat Shastra, and the absorption in divine contemplation through Manana, Chintana, Nididhyasana, etc. This is called Shastro ka Sang, which we are doing every day here also. Sat Shastra ka Sang. This is the fourth meaning. Third meaning. So, Paramatma ka Sang, Atma ka Sang, Sat Shastra ka Sang. Fourth meaning, and they're not in any order, they're all together, is Sat Purush ka Sang. जो भगवान के जो बड़े बड़े संत हो गए throughout the history of the world or today, उनका जो संग करना, that is called Sat Purush. Purush doesn't mean male or female here. It just means a being that is enlightened being, who is living in Satyam, Satyam Anantam Brahma, who is a Brahma Swarup saint. इनका जो संग है, इसमें से मुक्ति होती है. So this is the fourth type of sang. Sat Purush ka Sang. What is the fifth type of sang? That is Sad Vichar ka Sang. हमारे में सद विचार भी है, असद विचार भी है, सद भावना भी है, असद भावना भी है. हमारे में सत्संग भी है, कुसंग भी है. हमारे में गुण भी है, अवगुण भी है. Everything is there inside of us. It's all mixed. So when we decide that we want to have sangha of satya that is inside, that is the sad vichar, that is the purified thought and purified emotion that shows up at times, iska sang. And that, in that sang, all the others are there. As you've heard me say before, as you've heard Sachin say before, that the Guru is inside. Where is the Guru inside? In this, in the Sad Vichar ka Sang. Sad Vichar ka Sang, meaning what? That the internal mechanism of thoughts and emotions and memories and desires and feelings and wants and dislikes and likes and whatever is going on inside, when it comes to that the state of Satyam, that there is purification, there is divinization. The thoughts are very pure, good, high quality thoughts. That is called Shuddha Vichar, by the way. In Vedras, Bhagwan Swaminarayan has called that Shuddha Vichar. Shuddha Vichar means absolutely purified thought. That kind of vichar ki dhara, vichar ni dhara, shuddha bani jaye. Vichar dhara means the flow of thoughts, which is happening in the waking time. See, this is where actually the whole spiritual evolution is happening, at the level of thoughts and emotions inside. All of those others, the Atma ka Sang, Paramatma ka Sang, those things are external in some ways, with murtis and temples and puja, archana and sahasranamas and all those things that people are doing. That is all being done to bring it inside the realm of the mind, so that the satsanga, the sangha of satyam, is internally existing. The external worships, external puja, archana, etc. is done. External reading of the scriptures is done. Going to temples, going to religious events and gatherings and whatnot. All of that thing is done so that it can penetrate inside, holding it inside. And once that opening occurs inside, to hold it inside, the purified emotions, these emotions that we experience, they all become divine. This is called Divya Bhav, divine emotion. And in that divine emotion opens Ananda. The Atma is Ananda. So divine emotion opens Ananda. It opens the door into Ananda. It opens it. That Ananda is who you are. every distortion, disturbance of the flux of the mind stops. So that is the power that is within the mind. The power within the mind is completely held together. So then what happens as you move into Swapna Avastha? This is the interesting part. As you go from Jagrat Avastha, and if the mind is purified and immersed in divinity, then at night time, something very special occurs. First of all, there is going to be the right balance between body and mind, naturally. When divine emotion is present, divine thought is present, natural 100% balance between body and mind is going to be there. Because vasanas are not active to create the imbalances. Vasana is what creates imbalance between the mind and the body. Vasana is not present. There is sadvasana that is present, not asadvasana. So sadvasana, meaning the wanting to be absorbed in God consciousness, those kinds of desires are remaining, but they are not going to bind you. They are going to free us instead. So when sadvasana occurs, then bhajan, kirtan, manan, chintan, and again, one revolves within the different sadhanas. This is another point I want to mention, would like to mention here, that in the Jagrat Avastha, there is the revolving from one sadhana to another. Little bit of Bhakti Yoga, then Jnana Yoga, then Sankhya Yoga, then Karma Yoga. Meaning what? You do morning puja for half an hour, 15 minutes. But you get up from that, and let's say you're going to work for 8 hours. For example, you're going somewhere. So before you start the work, you say Karmanye Vadikaraste. You remember Bhagwan Krishna and say, I'm offering everything to Paramatma, to God. All this activity, there's no fear. The activity is done properly. And so you're attentive to the work you're doing. And then once it's done, you're taking the whole 8 hours of activity, placing it at the feet of God. You're not taking ownership of that activity. It has nothing to do with you, actually. This is called Karma Yoga. If we don't do Karma Yoga, we're bound out of fear and out of pleasure and expectation. When will I get my paycheck? And when will this happen? And this person said this to me, and then I need a raise, and I need this, and I need this. I'm unhappy, and million things are coming inside the mind. And the action that is being done is also not being done properly at times. So a karma yogi does not get stuck in the fruit of the action. He's not concerned with the fruit of the action. He accepts the fruit living in this world. Has nothing to do with that. That is karma yoga, because he realizes that nothing is ours. It's a big thing to realize that nothing, no one, and no experience is ours. This body will turn to absolute dust one day. There is no way to avoid that. Because it is going to turn to dust, to ashes, to rak, actually. Who is ours? Nobody. What is ours? Nothing. What do we take with us? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Not one atom do we take with us. Except the karmas we have created in the Sukshma Sharir, which will then cause rebirth upon rebirth upon rebirth. As per the rishis and their visions. So a karma yogi lives a divine life. Karma yogi is not bound anywhere. Performs the duty beautifully, performs the action beautifully, as a leela in the highest stage. As a leela performs as a duty to the world, but is not at all disturbed by the fruit that comes from the action. Come what may. Sukhe dukhe same karitva. Labha labho jaya jayo tatha yuddhaya yujjasva nainam prapya vimuyati. Bhagavad Gita. Whatever may come, whatever the result may be, steadiness remains. And then the right practical actions are taken. That's all. One is free. The point here is that there is a abiding freedom in the Jagrat Avastha. What a beautiful life. ऐसा इसको जीवन कहते हैं, इसको जीना कहते हैं. If human beings have not learned the science of this type of living, then it is a burning in the sansar, in the three gunas of Maya, which is 99% of the people. They're burned inside Maya. By rag, dvesh, aham, mamatva. By the constant fear, will I lose my job? Will this happen? Will that happen? But, constant fear-based life. No. That is absolutely unnecessary. There's no need for fear. Increase devotional practice. Let go of things you cannot control at the feet of God. Let it go. It's not up to you to fix the problems of the world. There's only one person Sachin needs to fix the problems of, and that is Sachin only. You know who's teaching that? Bhagavad Gita chapter 6. We looked at it 2 years ago, right? Uddareda atmana atmanam natmanam avasadayed atmaiva yatmano bandhur atmaiva ripur atmanaha. Even Gunatitanand Swami, he said, potane kalyanma drashti barabar rakhvi. Bichano loto joto karu. It means what? Keep attention on where you are. Because when the time comes, it is only you and God and nobody else. When the time comes to leave this body, nobody in this world is going to be able to help us. And if we keep that in mind, that the time to leave this body can happen anytime. In Garuda Ante number 30, Vachanamrut, Maharaj has given 5 anusandhan. They're called like constant awareness. He talked about himself. He said that I am aware continuously that this body can go any time at any second. And because of that constant anusandhan awareness, there is akhanda vairagya. And in the akhanda vairagya, you're going to have jnana yoga and karma yoga. In fact, one lives life in the highest state, truly enjoys life, truly appreciates life, truly interacts with all around with respect and love, because it is a bubble. A person is here one day, gone the next. That is the glory of Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. The point is, in the Jagrat Avastha, there is a revolving from one spiritual centered activity to another. Now somebody will say, wait a minute, we're going to work and all that. I just showed you how. When you're performing any work that is worldly work, you're performing it as a Karma Yoga, that's all. And that is needed. You have to perform the Karma Yoga, but Karma is performed with a yogic mindset, not with a binding mindset. So the Karma never accumulates inside the system. The same action is done. 2 people are going to do the same 8-hour job. Doesn't matter what the job is, any job. One is a Karma Yogi, one is trapped inside the 3 gunas of Maya. The activity is the same. One is a Jnani, one is an Ajnani. The Ajnani is living out of fear, out of frustration, out of attachment. That this is my job. What happens if I lose this? When can I get the next promotion? When can I do this? This is all what? This is Ajnan. Out of fear-based stuff, trying to progress in a temporary world that is going to be blown away. How foolish is that? That's not progress. Actually, real progress is to realize the Atma and the Paramatma and to live in this world as needed, as whatever is needed here, we live in that. In Swamini Vato, Gunatitanand Swami said, "Karod rupiya male to enu su fal છે. Rotlati વધારે ખવાતું નથી." You know what it means, right? Even if you have crores of rupees, you cannot eat crores of rupees of food. You can only eat so much food. And just to run after more and more accumulation, people accumulate sometimes so much, and then they die at the end. They didn't take anything with them. Whatever they use is theirs in life. That's it. It's the ego that is trying to accumulate. Even if you accumulate, do something with it. Do something meaningful with it. Good for the sansar, for the family, for the world. If nothing is done, it's just ahankar. Me, I have this, and a person dies with that ahankar. And then is reborn. Usually wherever that money went, wherever that power went, is reborn again and again and again, chasing that. This is the spiritual law. Antayamati sagati, Ganada Pratham 14. Vachanamrut, where Maharaj is referenced so beautifully, the Veda Stuti. The Vedas declare, Antayamati sagati. What is the cumulative state of mind that will be producing the next life? That is the beauty. So why not? What Shankaracharya ji is insisting, he's insisting to realize the Atma. He's insisting to live in this world without any kind of affliction of this world. That is an insistence. That is a krupa. And is it possible to live with joy this way? In fact, that is joy. In fact, what would happen? You would actually wind up saving more money. You'll wind up saving more energy. You'll wind up having best relationships with everybody. The communication with everyone improves. Bhagavad Gita teaches, have the words we speak, satyam, satya, priya, hitkari. The language becomes purified. Our vision becomes purified. Our life becomes divya jivan. It is a divine life. So in the Jagrat Avastha, is a massive blessing of Paramatma for the Jivatma to experience and experiment with satsanga. All 5 of these sanghas we talked about. To experience them and to experiment with them. And if we don't do that, we are no different from a pashu. Pashu meaning animal. In fact, less than animal. You cannot even say level of animal. Animals are not smoking cigarettes and shooting drugs and doing all these things. So humanity, the animal will be insulted if you say we're like you. He will say, don't say that you're like me, you're less than me. You're not even equal to me. Where's the issue of progressing further? We kill our own kind. We have weapons that destroy our own. Animals don't do that. They generally don't kill their own species. They have that much intelligence. We as human beings don't even have that much intelligence. How unfortunate that is. That is why the buddhi is so degraded, because of ahankar, because of vasanas. In the words of J. Krishnamurti, he said it beautifully, that humanity is in its psychological infancy. It is so correct. Absolutely correct. It is the evolution of the mind that is required to move out of all of this kind of limitation. See, that's why our Rishi said, Ahimsa paramo dharma. Ahimsa. Kitni badi baat hai ye? This is all in the Jagrat Avastha. In the waking state, when we have ahimsa, we don't speak a language that is going to hurt somebody's emotion. We don't even think negative thought towards somebody else. And certainly not to perform a physical act to hurt somebody. Mansik, karmik, man karma vachan. Mental violence, verbal violence, physical violence. If they stop in the world, if they stop even for 1 million people, let's say even for 500,000 people completely, even for 500 people completely, that will impact the whole of humanity. Even if 500 people in the world come to that stage where the violence stops from inside, it will have a rippling effect for all of humanity. Even 500 people are not there. Out of 7.3 billion people, 500 people are not in a state of ahimsa. Think about that. True state of ahimsa. Real, 100%. Otherwise, they will change. Otherwise, their presence will change the whole world. It will impact everybody. Why is it? Because there's rag, dvesh, even subtle forms. Sometimes we think of it in a very gross form. Something subtle. Somebody's different from me, has a different perspective. There's a dislike inside. Immediately, one is in away from Brahma Vidya. So, real freedom in Jagrat Avastha is possible when we adopt the art of moving from one yoga to another. That's what it all comes down to. That there's start with a little bit of bhakti yoga, then do some karma yoga, then do some jap yoga. That you keep moving around. Now, what happens when If you have to watch news or TV, or if you have to go out with some friends, you watch it with a spiritual vision if you have to watch it. Be careful though about the impressions and how much is going to be recorded in the mind. But that's the way the vasanas, you become aware of the way the desires work. Person is not going to be able to remain just in the yogic mindset all the time. So then you will recognize that vasanas are pulling in different directions. What is the vasana? Where is it giving me? What is my experience? One becomes a researcher of this inner space. And the researcher of the inner space is called a sadhaka. And when that researcher can see the inner space clearly without distortion, is called a rishi. That is, what is a rishi? Is a seer. Seeing what? Seeing oneself. The ability to see oneself. Now, in the Jagrat Avastha then, there is harmony, stability, and ananda, joy. And there is the experience of life. There is not the rejection of the experience of life. You're not rejecting the experience. You're going to sit in the car and you're going to do other things like as anybody else is, but it will not be done, or let's put it this way, it will be done without the force of ajnana. The force of vasanas and binding force, it will not be there. There will be joy. There will be so much clarity inside. And that is how one lives. One lives inside this world this way. So there's a continuous freedom in the Jagrat Avastha. And such a life is a free life. It is a divya life, a divine life, a harmonious life, a whole life, an energy integrated life, a life filled with glory of the state of the great saints. The great sages, jo Mahapurush hum kehte hain, they are the foundation of the sansar. If they were not here, or if they are not here, the whole sansar will be destroyed. It cannot sustain. Humanity would have extinguished itself completely long time back. It's because of the Mahajan. In the Rudram it comes, in the Nyas, Mahajana Rakshantu. That it's a prayer to Bhagavan to protect the Mahajans. Because even if the few are present in this world, the whole humanity can survive. They are the reason why humanity survives, not anything else. Humanity is stuck in fear and all these problems. They would have extinguished themselves long time back. But the Mahajans are here. They are always here. In the Vachanamrita it is written that the great saints are always present on this planet in some form or another. To keep the doorway open, moksha dwaram apavratam, to keep the doorway towards moksha open. Otherwise, humanity will be doomed inside the three gunas of Maya and crushed within that. And it may even extinguish itself. And that is, we already have, God knows how many weapons there are in this world. There's plenty of weapons to destroy the whole earth, multiple times, hundreds of times maybe. These submarines are there and other silos are there and so many things are there. Massive weapons are there of mass destruction. Push button war. You just within half an hour, the whole humanity is finished. This is the fruit of our intelligence. Think about this. Kitna agnan hai? Ahankar, ego, madness that is there. This is asuri vritti. This hurting others, wanting to grab position, power, land from others, wanting to kill others, wanting to damage others. Ye sab kya hai? Ye sab Kaliyug ka prabhav hai, and it is asuri vritti. So the mumukshus who are present in this world, they see this, they do their part, and pray to Bhagwan, we do our part. But then, you wonder, can these situations change? Can all these wars and weapons and everything, maybe they'll change, maybe there will be wars and all that. Some people will survive still. There has been already World War I, World War II. There have been 7,000 recorded wars in human history, at least. And they're continuing to go on. And they've always gone on because humanity is stuck psychologically. We are not evolved to that level to be able to sit together, to contemplate together with love and respect, and to recognize we are all one people. The basic sutra, Vasudeva Kutumbakam, this is in the Upanishad. And that sutra in the Upanishad, when people realize that, even if few people realize that, that's very big. And in that realization, we continue to move. But sansar continues. Sansar is going to continue in its own way. That's the nature of it. There are going to be people who are coming into the sansar who are asuri, who have become human after millions of different life forms. And they have come from hellish regions and all that. You see some people like that. Their thinking is completely, they have a human body, but their thinking is demonical. Because they have come from the narka lokas, that's why. And some have come from the Bhagwan ke dham mein se aaye hai. And they are the most pure and divine beings. In this Prithvi, you have this whole range from enlightened sages all the way to these demonical kind of thinking people. You know, there's so many like this. And everybody else in between. Whole range. You have to know who is who, kiska sang karna, kiska sang nahi karna. And keep away from all of those things that are going to drag one inside the negativity. Because the negativity is like an abyss. It is a fall upon fall upon fall. And it can keep degrading into terrible, terrible things. And on the other side, the divinity is a rising upon rising upon rising. It can go all the way. So while we're here, as I mentioned before, the protection of Bhagwan Shankar and Goddess Parvati is absolutely necessary to be protected from all of the people who are these asuri people in this world. And there's so many of them. And not only that, there are so many other negative forces also. None of that will touch us with the blessings of Bhagwan Shankar and Devi Parvati. They cannot touch us. The negativity can never come near us when we take the shelter of Bhagwan Shankar and the Navdurga of the goddess Parvati, of the Mahashakti, because they are in charge of the Brahman. You know, whatever goes on, it happens by their permission. Otherwise, nothing goes on. This is that if you're connecting with them through bhakti, Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundai Viche, etc., other sadhanas of Bhagwan Shankar and Devi Parvati, the protection is given to the devotee. No negative thing can ever come near such a devotee. Impossible. Aa hi nahi sakta. It will never be able to come also. That is a guarantee. So, that is what we were saying before. That in the Jagrit Avastha, this is our life. We want Deshkal, Kriya Sang, everything to be very good. You see, and again now, even people who are worshipping Bhagwan Krishna, Bhagwan Shri Ram, or the Vaishnava approaches, yes, you can take the shelter of Bhagwan Sri Krishna, Bhagwan Shri Ram, Sajanand Swami Maharaj, or other gurus also. You can take shelter of them. That's fine, you know. But you have to follow what they're saying. You cannot deviate from their instruction. Otherwise, the negative things will come about very rapidly. But if people cannot follow their instructions properly, and they're still wanting to do some of these things that are against their instruction, then you have to do Namah Shivaya mantra to fix all that. You know, so that is the thing about Namah Shivaya mantra and the Navaran mantra. That when one is not able to follow the instructions of the great sages, then these two mantras are absolutely necessary for protection and then to reopen the doorway into that proper satsang track. That is the connection between, you know, the Panchadevata and the other upasanas, the higher upasanas that are present. So we'll stop here for today. We'll continue along these lines tomorrow further, and we'll take it one step at a time. Hari Om.